A dust storm that cut visibility down to almost zero was captured on video by a Channel 7 crew heading home from covering Cyclone Narelle.
Whoa, down to near zero.
Oh, God.
Simon Reeve and his Sunrise crew were driving from Exmouth to Karratha. They had to stop a number of times because they couldn't see. The Weather Bureau says dust storms in dry desert areas are quite common.
Australia burns. The heat is so bad they're changing the data scale. The fire danger so high, burn bans are in effect. NASA's Earth Observatory caught these images, and I've linked the article for you below. Had a mid-sized tremor near Antarctica yesterday. This morning, a moderate shaking rattled New Zealand. Top quake of the day caused no damage, no injuries, and will never be marked as significant by the USGS. But if you've been watching closely, you know this area barely gets 4-pointers, let alone 5s, and the swarm is continuing this morning. Back to Australia, and if you aren't in a fire zone, maybe you've got a Class 3 cyclone bearing down on you. Now, as you watch a filament rip away from the backside of the sun behind the eastern limb, know that the backside has been very active, and now the Earth-facing disk has broken the silence. We had a C8 flare yesterday afternoon, and this morning we already saw an M flare.
Roads in Australia melt as record temperatures hit the outback. 90 fires were burning in the state of New South Wales, which have destroyed more than 200,000 acres of land, with tens of thousands of livestock being lost.
When it becomes that size, if it really does take off, there's very little firefighting agencies can do.
Meanwhile, the heatwave continued to grip large parts of the country, with records being broken in the outback town of Birdsville, where the temperature soared to 48 degrees Celsius.
Hey folks, it's Friday, January 11th, about 10:45 Mountain Time, 2013. This news story just came out this evening, just a few hours ago. Governor Brewer of the state of Arizona has issued a state of emergency over propane shortage. And the next 3 to 4 days are supposed to be very cold for out here in the desert. And I want to share something that is very, very interesting, just to give you an idea how cold it is for the desert, but not necessarily how cold it is for here, but I guess also how warm it is in Alaska. Here's the next 5-day forecast for Anchorage, Alaska, Chandler, Arizona, which is in southeast Phoenix. Tomorrow night out here in the desert, we've got a low of 23 degrees. And tomorrow night in Anchorage, Alaska, the low is 32 degrees. And then the following night out here in the desert, we got a low of 25. And in Anchorage, Alaska, they've got a low of 28. Since when has it ever been warmer in Anchorage, Alaska than it has been in southeast Phoenix, Arizona? Wow, I mean, that's bizarre. I mean, this climate change, it's no joke. It is no joke. I've never in my life heard of it being warmer in Alaska at any time than it has in Phoenix, Arizona in the desert. That's absolutely bizarre.
Now to the upside-down weather going on from coast to coast this morning. We've got record spring-like weather in the east and the Arctic blast in the west.
Didn't even need a jacket this morning. So what's going on? Our meteorologist and birthday girl, I can say that on there. Happy birthday, Ginger.
Thank you so much.
Let's tracking it all.
Yes, I'm tracking it. Let's get straight to that. Forget about the birthday for now, because New York and Washington, D.C. are going to be warmer today than Los Angeles and Phoenix. Things are flip-flopped, and in the middle, misery.
Temperatures transposed. Record heat in the east. Yes, that's tennis in Wisconsin in January.
It is really heavy.
And in Southern California, heavy snow plus wind so strong it slammed this tree right onto this guy's car.
What can I say? Mother Nature took over.
And in the heartland, there was sleet from Oklahoma to St. Louis. In Louisiana and Kentucky, dramatic leftovers from a day of severe weather chaos.
Our patio flew off in the back. It's actually over here in the neighbor's yard.
That pile of brick used to be a church in western Kentucky. An unconfirmed microburst leveled it.
I don't care if it is in the middle of January, they need to get shelter, and this ought to be a good example to make people understand that.
And with the strong storms, too much rain. This morning, more than a dozen states from Louisiana to New York are either inundated or bracing for floods.
One of those cities bracing for floods, flash flood warnings in Nashville. You can see that part of that will fall from Louisville to Nashville. That's the 2+, but locally 3 inches in some places. And the rain spreads all across that cold front behind it. It's not just Arctic. It is, gosh, cold. 3 below in Denver, 5 at Billings, 5 now Salt Lake City. We're looking, these are actual morning temperatures, so wind chills are going to be even colder. Phoenix this morning right at that freezing mark. And then all the heat. Yesterday, Atlanta broke a 123-year-old record, hitting 76. I think a lot of spots from New York today at 55. Washington, D.C. at 62. We'll do that as well.
So this is really crazy, but where I live right now, I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it is like 63 degrees out, and it's supposed to be like 20 to 30 degrees at this time of year. But it's 61 and it's raining, and the rain's somewhat warm. And I think that's a little bit messed up because, you know, it's raining decently hard. Because when I got home from the movie theater, I looked out my back window, and my yard kind of slants down like that, and then it kind of comes back up, so it kind of makes like a river when it rains. And usually it's about maybe an inch, but this, I had to put on my boots to go out there, my snow boots. And I walked in it, and my feet kind of sunk into it, and I swear it was like 5 inches of rain.
Good afternoon, YouTube. This is a short little video here about the weather we're having in the wondrous great Upper Peninsula, Michigan. I'll show you here. And we lost all of our snow. It's 42 degrees. Just incredible the weather we're having. A little windy here today, but otherwise it's been raining and misting and it's fog and just terrible weather. Doesn't make very good for ice fishing. Can't even go ice fishing. There's so much water that the water's just taking over the ice, and people's shacks out there all getting flooded. And
so 65 degrees right now, windows open. They're projecting 70 this weekend. It's almost mid-January. What the hell is going on with the chemtrailing and the planet and the climate? It's a whole lot of Gulf heat. Crazy stuff, folks.